Welcome back to another one of my tier list episodes. Today we'll be looking at part 2 of my Sorcerer subclass breakdowns. If you haven't seen for part 1, I'll put a little link up there at the top where you can go check it out. But let us continue on, all right? Last time we left off here at our C tiers, all right? Looking at the Aberrant Mind, looking at the Wild Magic. Now we're going to be looking at the Big Daddies, all right? The big stuff, the good stuff, all right? The B's, the A's, and of course the coveted S. So let's go ahead and get right on into it here. My B tier is the Draconic Bloodline. In terms of spell list, it gets no extended spell list. Sadly, I wish that it did, but it would probably be too confusing. So there is no extended spell list here for our Draconic Bloodline. All right, for Draconic Ancestor, or Ancestry as I wrote it down, you can speak, read, and write Draconic. Additionally, whenever you make a Charisma check when interacting with dragons, your proficiency bonus is doubled. All right, is maybe possibly very, very heavily situational, but it could make it. Also, Draconic Resilience. As magic flows through your body, it causes physical traits of your dragon ancestor to emerge. At first level, your hit point maximum increases by 1 and increases by 1 whenever you gain a level in this class. So you might actually have, maybe, possibly, a not absolute dog shit HP pool. Additionally, parts of your skin are covered by a thin sheen of dragon-like scales. When you are not wearing armor, you are basically under the mage armor spell constantly. So hey, this does save us a spell slot. All right, this is a very good ability for us sorcerers. All right, I'm all about it. Fantastic. Elemental Affinity. All right, it's 6th level. When you cast a spell that deals damage of the type associated with your Draconic ancestry, which you pick at the start of this, all right, the color of your scales, you can add your Charisma modifier to 1 damage roll of that spell. At the same time, you can spend 1 sorcery point to gain resistance to that damage type for 1 hour. Now, this has gone from being pretty good to being half good. And the reason why it's been turned into half good is because, well, almost a third good. Basically, it's kind of shit now. And the reason why it's kind of shit now is, well, it's kind of bounced back a little bit because thanks to Tasha's, they implemented the idea that by, you can take a meta magic that by expanding 1 sorcery point, I can turn any kind of damage that a spell causes to something else. So basically, if I'm willing to spend 1 sorcery point to turn Fireball into acid damage, all right, and I am a black-scaled dragon, all right, Draconic Bloodline here, then I can now add my Charisma modifier to the damage roll, of that spell, all right, which would be, which at this point, level 6, it might be +4, +5. I can turn my cantrip, into cold damage if I am a silver dragonborn, and now I get to add my Charisma modifier to my cold bolt instead of firebolt. The sad part is that requires a sorcery point, okay? And I'm not a big fan of spending sorcery points just to make an ability decent. But don't count out this ability anymore. It used to be kind of it's gone a little bit better. However, the second part, all right, you can spend 1 sorcery point to gain resistance to that damage type for 1 hour. That is complete and utter garbage. The reason why this is complete and utter garbage now is because thanks to Fizzbane's, all right, Treasury of Dragons, you can now just choose to be a Dragonborn Draconic Bloodline Sorcerer, at which point you just, because of your class, have resistance to that type whenever you want, all the time, and once I believe a long rest, you can become immune to that damage type. This ability is now basically bullshit. All right, the only thing you actually gain is by basically getting forcing yourself to take a meta magic option and spending the key point, the meta magic point. You can kind of use the first part of this. The other part, not so much. So we have kind of a half-dead ability here. All right, Dragon Wings. At 14th level, you gain the ability to sprout a beautiful pair of dragon wings from your back, and you gain a fly speed equal to your current movement speed. You can create these wings as a bonus action on your turn. They last until you dismiss them as a bonus action. You can't manifest your wings while wearing armor unless your armor is made to accommodate them, and clothing not made to accommodate your wings might be destroyed when you manifest them. I love it. I get my fly speed. It says it is equal to my current speed, which means that this is one of those moments where there is no argument. I absolutely can use my action to dash and get flying with it. Right? That is something that other DMs, if it says movement speed or walking speed, if it says, hey, you can, your flight is your walking speed, then technically that means rules as written, you cannot dash with that fly speed because it specifically said your walking speed. If you want to dash, yo ass gotta be on the ground and running off foot. But this says current speed, which means however fast you can go, which in my book means I can dash and get that fly. All right, and it's a bonus action. There's no concentration. Nowhere does it say that I suffer any, as long as I am not wearing anything that goes against it. But look, up here, remember, my AC is 13 plus my Dex modifier. I bet you I'm not wearing no armor, bitch. Or at the very least, very easy armor that I can just be like, yeah, there's nothing on my back. The wings will not fuck up my shit. I love it. I love my ability to fly, and the fact that I can fly with no real repercussions. I'm all about it. Alright, Draconic Presence. At 18th level, you can channel the dread presence of your dragon ancestor, causing those around you to become awestruck or frightened. As an action, you spend 5 key points to draw on this power and exude an aurora of awe or fear, your choice, to a distance of 60 feet. For 1 minute, or until you lose your concentration, each hostile creature that starts its turn, the aurora must make a wisdom saving throw or be either charmed or frightened. A creature that succeeds on the saving throw is immune for the aurora for the next 24 hours. I don't mind the conditions. I don't mind that it's a 60-foot range. That's fine. My problem is that if a creature succeeds, then that's it. This ability was used for nothing. And they're immune to it for the next 24 hours. Secondly, is that it required an action. Alright, which means no big spell for you this turn. Third, you have to spend 5 fucking sorcery points in order to use it. And fourth, it takes your goddamn concentration. That's like 4 big oofs to the one not bad. I'm just, it fell short. I love my 14th level ability. 6th is a dead ability. Our 18th ability, level ability is dead. Draconic Ancestry is totally comes down to the to the kind of game you're playing. If you have no dragons, like if you hardly ever see a dragon in your campaign, like Draconic Ancestry is fucking pointless. Out of the 4 abilities, 5 abilities, 3 of them, 2.5 of them are decent. 2.5 of them are good, I should say. The other 2.5 are either dead or very situational. But Draconic Resilience is so good. Draconic Wings, I think, are so good. And even this isn't half bad. I feel like Draconic Bloodline can be a B class. I think you can have fun being a Dragonborn Draconic Bloodline. I really do. Alright, then let us look instead into our A tiers, huh? Let's look at the good stuff. Alright, the top of the top, right? The creme de la creme. And the reason why you're fucking watching this video. Alright, A tier, we have Shadow Magic. Eyes of the Dark. First level, you have dark vision out to 120 feet. When you reach 3rd level, you can see through the darkness. You learn the darkness spell. It does not count towards the sorcery spells. And if you spend 2 sorcery points, you can cast it by using 2 of them instead of a spell slot, which normally would take, I believe it is 3, in order to regain a 2nd level spell slot. And if you cast with sorcery points, yo ass can see into it, which means you have advantage on strikes coming out of it because they can't see you. You're technically under the invisible condition, and they have disadvantage to try to hit you. And you're just immune to anything, any ability or spell or anything that says, must see the target. Fantastic ability right out of the gate. Alright, Strength of the Grave. Starting at 1st level, your existence in a twilight state between life and death makes you difficult to defeat. When damage reduces you to 0 hit points, you can make a Charisma saving throw, DC 5 plus the damage taken. On a success, you instead drop to 1. You can't use this feature again if you are reduced to 0 hit points by radiant damage or by a critical hit. After the saving throw succeeds, you cannot use this feature again until you finish a long rest. Go play I want someone to play a half-orc shadow magic sorcerer. Just really fuck up your DM shit by just being like, yep, you dropped me down to 0. Oh, I'm back up at 1. hits me. Oh, yeah, okay, I guess I get to make oh, look, I made my damage taken ability fucking back up at 1. I think that could be kind of fun. But in all seriousness, this is a good little ability. It can definitely save your ass. It can get you out of a tight spot. And if, you pop back up and then throw your darkness down, it can get you out of a real bad, situation. I always love early access to abilities that can save, a party from a TPK, especially at low levels when TPKs are so possible. All right, 6th level, we have Hound of Ill Omen. You gain the ability to call forth a howling creature of darkness to harass your foes. As a bonus action, you can spend 3 sorcery points to summon a Hound of Ill Omen to target one creature you can see within 120 feet. The Hound uses the Direwolf statistics, which are not shabby, by the way, even at 6th level. The Hound is size medium, not large, and it counts as a monstrosity, not a beast. It appears with a number of temp HP equal to half your sorcery level, which is not very good, alright? That's fucking 3, right? It can move through other creatures and objects as if it were difficult terrain. The Hound takes 5 force damage if it ends its turn inside an object. It doesn't say creature, which is weird, but I think it also means creature, which will kill it at this level, by the way. At the start of its turn, the Hound automatically knows its target's location. If the target was hidden, it is no longer hidden from the Hound. I love it. I love it because, 1, it can take some pressure off of you, alright? 2nd, it's a bonus action. Yes, it does require sorcery points, which knocks it down a little bit in my mind. But being a bonus action takes the shit off of you, alright? You can send it out and target a creature within 120 feet of you, which, by the way, it does not tell you how far away it is from you. You can summon this thing out to 120 feet and have it attack directly. Because nowhere does it say that, it just says, you can target one creature that you see within 120 feet. But it doesn't say that, it has to be summoned within 30 feet of you or right next to you. So, I'm just saying. Also, and I don't know why I've missed this. This suddenly got even better than I thought it was, because it uses the Direwolf's HP. It just gains a number of temp HP equal to half your sorcery level, which means you actually are giving it even. I don't know why I thought that. I have completely messed that up before. I have played a shadow magic sorcerer. My DM didn't correct me. I told him that he only had 5 HP because we were a level 10 sorcerer at the time. Well, fuck, there we go. So it's even better than I thought it was. Here we go. I've played D&D for 6 years, and I never once put together that temp HP is on top of a Direwolf's HP stat. So there we go, all right? Hey, you know what? 6 years, we still learn, all right? I'm still learning today. All right, great. Now I can say that we both learned something here at the end of this. All right, anyway, bottom line, this is a good ability. Bonus action, it's a little expensive on the sorcery points, I will admit. But everything else about this is really, really good. And there's just something I love. I almost get like a Crowley from Supernatural vibe, where you just kind of pat the air next to you and just say, "Suck 'em, boy," and you just send a shadowy hound. In my mind, it would be shadowy, even though I know in Supernatural it's invisible, but you get the point. I think it'd be really fucking cool. I just love the vibe of it. Alright, the Hound appears in an unoccupied space of your choice within 30 feet of the target. Alright, so boom, there we go. Alright, you literally get to choose wherever it is. You roll initiative for the Hound. On its turn, it can move only toward its target by the most direct route, and it can use its action only to attack its target. The Hound can make opportunity attacks, but only against its target. Additionally, while the Hound is within 5 feet of the target has disadvantage on save throws against any spell you cast. Holy damn shit. Is that awesome? The Hound disappears if it is reduced to 0 hit points, if the target is reduced to 0 hit points, or after 5 minutes. Great. I love it. Hound. Hill of Ill Omen. Great ability. Alright, Shadow Walk. At 14th level, you gain the ability to step from one shadow into another. When you are in dim light or darkness, as a bonus action, you can teleport up to 120 feet to an unoccupied space that you can see that is also in dim light or darkness. Hey, look, you are the Shadow Monk. You get a little bit level, right? You get a 14th level instead of 7. But you get it. It's a bonus action. It's 120 feet. And it's unlimited. I love it. It's not flying, but it's pretty damn close, especially if it's dark out. Alright, Umbral Form. Starting at 18th level, you can spend 6 sorcery points to use a bonus action to transform into your shadowy, edgy little form. In this form, you have resistance to all damage except Force and Radiant. You can move through other creatures and objects as if they were difficult terrain. You can take 5 force. You do take 5 force damage though if you end your turn inside the object. You remain in this form for 1 minute. It ends early if you're incapacitated, if you die, or if you dismiss it as a bonus action. Here's why this is so goddamn broke. I had a player who could cast. Because sorcerers have the ability to learn the beautiful, wonderful spell known as Wish. He used it to cast the spell Shape Change. All right, the 9th level spell that allows one to shape shift into any creature that they've seen that is a certain CR or lower. He turned into a Greastro. Upon this, or I think before this transformation, or maybe it was immediately after, he then used his bonus action to go into this Umbral form, which meant that not only did he now have the HP of a Greastro, but he was now resistant to basically all types of damage besides Force and Radiant. He was the literal definition of a bag of hit points. And I couldn't have been more proud or pissed. Because Orcus had to spend like 5 rounds just trying to beat his fucking head in. And I think he still ended up having HP at the end. He was one of the few that survived the fight. So, fantastic ability. Umbral Form, this is something that I love to see at my 18th level capstone ability. Everything else, this is such a fun class. You will not regret it. The only thing I could possibly say is I wish it had an expanded spell list, which, if you have a cool DM, you may find yourself getting if you ask for one. So, definitely A tier. You will definitely enjoy your time. Also A tier, we have Clockwork Soul. Alright, for spells, we have Protection against Good or Evil. We have Aid, we have Lesser Restoration, we have Summon Construct, and we have Greater Restoration. Alright, fantastic expanded spell list that normally sorcerers do not have the ability to get their hands on. Restore Balance at first level. When a creature that you see within 60 feet of you rolls a d20 with advantage or disadvantage, you can use your reaction to make it not have advantage or disadvantage, to make it just have a straight roll. And you can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all of them at a long rest. I love it when they give us proficiency bonuses because that is a number that I don't have to spend ASIs to improve. I'm all about it. As for the ability itself, it's good. Is it giantly, massively game-changing? I wouldn't think so. But it's definitely good. And it's definitely good when you need it to be good. Like, say, hey, I got a couple of friends who are currently actually going through Wilds Beyond the Witchlight. Heavily homebrewed, but Wild Beyond the Witchlight. And it's comprised of a couple of people, but it's particularly comprised of a Clockwork Soul Sorcerer and a Barbarian. And the Barbarian goes Reckless quite often. Thanks to this ability, the Barbarian gets to go Reckless and get the advantage. But with him, the enemy does not. Now, it is a reaction, which means you can only do this to one enemy. But sometimes that's all you need. To be able to stop that opponent from getting advantage can sometimes make a world of difference. Or preventing someone on your party from rolling with disadvantage against a save that they really need to make. So it may not be the craziest of abilities, but when it is used, and I do think it will be used often, it can be a very big help. So, good ability. Solid. Alright, Bastion of Law. Starting at 6th level, you can tap into the grand equation of existence. To imbue a creature with a shimmering shield of order, as an action, you expand 1 to 5 sorcery points to create a magical ward around yourself or another creature you see within 30 feet of you. The ward lasts until you finish a long rest, or use this feature again. The ward is represented by a number of d8s equal to the number of sorcery points you spent to create it. When the warded creature takes damage, it can expand a number of those hit dice, roll them, and reduce the damage taken by the total rolled on those dice. I like this, and the reason why I like this is because it's basically like temp HP, but because it's not called temp HP, you can have temp HP with this ability. That is the only thing I like about this ability, however. The reason why I say that is because I've said it once, I've said it twice, I've said it 5 times. The Sorcerer suffers from having a lack of meta magic points. Can it get some back? Yes. Does it have to use spell slots in order to do so? Yes. So the fact that it's 1 to 5 sorcery points just for D8s, I don't know if it's, you know, I almost wish that it let me just add something. You know, I wish that it was a D8 plus something. Because what if I expand, say, you know, 3 of my sorcery points, half of the sorcery points I have at 6th level, you know, on myself or a buddy of mine, and he gets attacked and he rolls a D8 and it's a 1. So he adds a second one and it's a 2. And then he adds the third one and it's a 4. He used all 3 of my sorcery points to basically just nullify 7 points of damage. And I'm just like, that wasn't fucking worth it. For 3 sorcery points, like, imagine what I could have done with 3 sorcery points. I could have fucking, you know, gotten so many, I could have gotten spells back, I could have, you know, used extended spell, I could use a meta magic option, like, there's so many things I could have used, and instead I just spared him 7 points of damage. At 6th level. 7 points of damage ain't much. So, I know what they were trying to do with this. I just wish it was better. I wish it was a D8 plus something, just so that you would never roll complete dog shit. What that number should be, I don't know. Maybe your proficiency bonus? I think your charisma would maybe be too high, because even at 6th level, your charisma could be a fucking 5. But, I don't know, just something. Just something better than this. Alright, Trance of Orders. At 14th level, you gain the ability to align your consciousness to the endless calculations of Mechanus. As a bonus action, you can enter this state for 1 minute. For the duration, attack rolls against you cannot benefit from advantage. And whenever you make an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, you can treat any roll of a 9 or lower on a d20 as a 10. Once you use this bonus action, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest or spend 5 sorcery points to do so. This is fantastic. This is fucking phenomenal. 14th level, I bet you probably have like a plus, 10 to hit. So from now on, just, hey, every time I attack a creature, the worst I can do is plus, is a 20. Unnatural, granted, but 20 on my fucking d20 is the worst I can do. Alright, con saves, alright, to maintain concentration, alright, worst I can do is 20. The worst. And since, rolls cannot, have any advantage on me, like, this is a great ability. It is at 14th level, and I can get it back if I spend just, 5 sorcery points, which is a decent chunk of sorcery points. It's a third of my sorcery points. But the fact that it gives me the option to use it multiple times a day, fantastic. This alone, completely makes up our 6th level ability being shit. All right. We finally come to, again, a wonderful, beautiful ability that epitomizes our 18th level capstones. Clockwork Cavalcade. At 18th level, you summon Spirits of Order to expunge disorder around you. As an action, you summon the spirits of a 30-foot cube originating from you. The spirit looks like, good lord, madrones or other constructs of your choice. For how much I used them in a couple of campaigns ago, I keep fucking wanting to call them monodrones. I don't know why. I think I did. I think I called them monodrones quite often, but they're madrones. Anyway, or other constructs of your choice. The spirits are intangible and invulnerable, and they create the following effects within the cube before vanishing. 1, they restore 100 hit points divided amongst whoever needs it in that cube. 2, any damaged objects are entirely repaired. 3, every spell of 6th level or lower ends on creatures and objects of your choice within the cube, and which means that if they are under, say, any kind of hypnosis, if they are currently under whole person, if they have been charmed in any way, all of those things go away, and they get healed 100 hit points. Granted, you have to divide it out amongst whoever it is, but this is not a small amount. This is fantastic. Once you use this action, however, you cannot use it again until you finish a long rest, or spend 7 sorcery points to use it again. I love it. This is fantastic. The spell list is fantastic. Your 1st level, your 14th, your 18th, so much of it is so good. This couldn't be anywhere else than my A tier. Which leaves us to the last one. And what is probably my favorite I think it is. I think it is my favorite sorcerer class. And it was actually the very first subclass that I ever played in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition all those years ago. This was the very first character I made, a light cleric turned divine soul. The best, in my opinion, of all the sorcerer subclasses. For its spells, it does get a single expanded spell, and it depends on which one you choose. But I would again argue that, especially after Tasha's, I think most DMs would be willing to be like, hey, if you take something like Divine Soul or Draconic Bloodline or any of the others, you give me a day and I will create for you an expanded spell list. But even if they don't, you can maybe get, you definitely get the one, you might get more. Alright, favored by the gods, starting at first level. If you fail a saving throw or miss with an attack roll, you can roll 2d4 and possibly change the outcome. Once you use this feature, you do have to take a short or long rest to use it again, but that means you have the possibility of using it multiple times a day with your short rest. And 2d4 is not a tiny amount. That is very much possible. That's not a single d4. Right? 2d4 is definitely a decent chunk that could definitely get you out of that dangerous saving throw area. Alright, Empowered Healing. At 6th level, the divine energy coursing through you can empower healing spells. Whenever you or an ally within 5 feet of you rolls dice to determine the number of hit dice that a spell restores, you can spend 1 sorcery point to re-roll any number of them. You can only use this feature once per turn, but, let's say you roll, a Cure Wounds, a 3rd level Cure Wounds or 2nd level Cure Wounds, and both of them are, one of them's a 1 and one of them's a 3, and you're just like, that's fucking awful. You can spend 1 sorcery point and immediately get to reroll, and who knows, you might end up with fucking, 7 and an 8. 2 6s. Triple what it was going to be. This is a good ability, and it's cheap. It's only 1 sorcery point, which in my mind, if it's going to be an ability, let it be cheap. 1 sorcery point, I'll take. Alright, Angelic Form at 14th level. You can use a bonus action to manifest spectral wings from your back. Here we go, boys. We get the ability to fly. You already know this is going to be something I love. While the wings are present, you have a flying speed of 30 feet. I don't like that it gives me a flying speed of exactly 30 feet. Because in my mind, it says 30 feet. This means I cannot dash. Because it specifically says I have a flying speed of 30 feet. Not movement. 30 feet is how far I can fly. The wings last until you're incapacitated, you die, or you dismiss them as a bonus action. The affinity you chose when you first took this divine magic feature will change its look. So it can be eagle wings if you are good, bat wings if you're bad, or dragonfly wings if you are just neutral, or just want to be edgy and look like that one chick off of Naruto. But I digress. Alright, at 18th level, we have Unearthly Recovery. You gain the ability to overcome grievous injuries as a bonus action. When you have fewer than half of your hit points remaining, you can regain a number of hit points equal to half of your hit point maximum. So basically, if you have 105 hit points and you suddenly find yourself at 52, then you can immediately regain up to those 53 hit points. 52 hit points. Yeah, basically. Be one shy of half. Once you use this feature, though, you cannot do so again until you finish a long rest. I love this ability because it is a bonus action, because it goes with the vibe of this character, and because as a sorcerer, dropping low is something that can happen, and it can happen very quickly. So the fact that you can just look over at your cleric and be like, yo, don't worry about me. I got it. And just bonus action, heal up immediately, negate the really big, heavy spell or attack that the enemy did to you, and go about your business. I love it. Now, this doesn't talk here. I didn't post this on this page here, but there's something else that the Divine Soul Sorcerer gets that is absolutely fantastic, and that is that it has the ability to dip into the cleric spell list. Whenever it learns a spell, the Divine Soul Sorcerer has the ability to instead take a spell out of the cleric. This means that this class gets to take something like, say, Mass Cure Wounds. Like, say, Revivify. Like, say, Spiritual Weapon. One of the best bonus action, non-concentrated spells in the game. And you just get it. You can pick it. And the list goes on and on. The very fact that this allows, that this class gives this subclass gives you, the sorcerer, the ability to cast those kinds of spells. Not to mention that, depending on how creative you are, imagine what you can do with healing spells with the ability to twin them. Healing Word, you're able to cast at two different of your allies. Cure Wounds, you're able to do both. You're able to extend Cure Wounds. If you take the, I forget what it is, I think it's the extended spell Meta Magic, you can double the range, or if it's touch, you can make it 30 feet. I can now, cast Cure Wounds at someone 30 feet away. The combination of Meta Magic options with the Cleric spell list, it's entirely up to your creativity. And I'm sure that there are some amazing combinations I haven't even thought of before. Which is why this is my favorite subclass. I guarantee you, if I really looked at all the different cleric lists and then went and saw all the different kinds of meta magic options, I bet you we could come up with some really cool combos that would make any DM fucking shit themselves. And I love it. So, Divine Soul for me, it's got everything you could possibly want. It's got the ability to heal. It's got the ability to fly. It's got the ability to just fucking say, oh, Mr. DM, did you think I was about to fail this? Wrong, bitch. 2d4. Oh, look, I succeed. Guess, sucks to suck. And guess what? When I take that short rest in an hour, yo ass is going to have to deal with it again. I love it. I love this class. The only weakness I could possibly say again is the extended spell list, but I truly believe any DM with their salt would probably be willing to give you a couple more spells than the single one that you get for free. But whatever the case, I hope you learned something. All right, I hope that maybe, all right, if you watched this, heard this, all right, don't get me wrong, we will be talking about the Wizard next, which I'm not looking forward to because there's so many goddamn schools of the Wizard, but if you are someone who thinks that the Sorcerer is far below that of the Wizard, I can see your point, but maybe, just maybe, I showed you the way a little bit and made you realize that maybe this class does have some things that could go for it. Whatever the case, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you saw part 1, and I hope you stick around because we are just about wrapping up here with our tier list, and then I can really go ham and just start fucking going into whatever I want. I kind of have a one-track mind and want to finish these things first. So whatever the case, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. And most importantly, I hope to catch you next time.